Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Primetime News. We have multiple companies exposed this week for wrongdoing. I have some interesting video to show you, some eBay updates that didn't make it into the winter seller update. I've got some Primetime Crime Series items for you. I've got Be on the Lookout items. We've got a find of a lifetime to show you as well. So stay tuned, but let's start with Etsy Exposed. All right, now many of you are of course familiar with Etsy, but for those of you who are not, it's an online selling platform that became very popular as a place where people could go and buy and sell handmade items. So it's a great place for artisans. And there's lots of handmade items there. So as an example, you could see there's handmade soaps, handmade knives, handmade jewelry, handmade mugs, and on and on and on. And if you click one of the listings, like I have one up here for a handmade furniture piece, and you scroll down, you'll see that it specifically says here that it's in the handmade category, and it tells you exactly what it's made of. Now, there's lots of reasons why people like to buy handmade products like this. One reason, of course, is you like to try to get something that's individualistic. No one else in the world will have a table that looks exactly like that one right there because there's unique characteristics to it. There's also people who are out there who want to get something that has a little extra love in it when it's handmade. You know, it has that special feeling to it. In addition, there's people who want to support artisans. They want to support small sellers, and they don't want their money going to, a big corporation and to products that are made in China. They like to support US sellers, as an example. There's all sorts of reasons. So imagine how upset you would be if you thought that you were getting this handmade item or any other handmade item on the site, and what arrived is something that is actually made by a big corporation, some big mass-produced manufactured item. Well, that's exactly what was called out by the BBC One show Watchdog. It's a consumer fighting for you type of show. And this was brought to attention here by Ina Steiner through her e-commerce bites website here. So she covered it. And what wound up happening, I'll actually show you a relevant section here from the clip of the story, and then we'll get more into it a little bit. All right, now keep in mind before I play this clip that it was made in England, so you're going to hear some English terms, one of which is the company B&M. So that's an English company that's similar to Amazon. So just keep that in mind as I play the video.
The shelf cost £15.99 and was clearly advertised as handmade. But when it arrived, Kate found evidence suggesting otherwise.
It was in a plain box, but then when I opened that box, it was in a B&M box.
So that moment when you saw B&M on the box, Kate, what went through your mind?
I was confused and I was a bit shocked.
Kate went straight to the B&M website, where she saw a photo of the exact same shelf for sale, but for just £5.
I felt a bit like a mug, I'll say that.
Kate's husband tweeted Etsy to complain, but the couple say no one's been in touch.
You know, it does look good on the wall. It looks lovely. It's so unique that I've got one too. Look.
Oh, look, there it is.
And B&M, £7 down to £5, all the way from China.
And we found more items on the Etsy site that are also available for less at B&M.
Why do you buy things from Etsy?
I don't feel like I'm buying from like a corporation. I feel like I'm buying from like a person.
Like it's homemade businesses, isn't it?
Homemade stuff.
Just a little bit different.
I'm going to show you two items. Okay, this one is $16.99 on Etsy.
Okay.
Here's the same item, £6 from B&M.
I feel a little annoyed.
They look the same.
They do. Then there's this supposedly handmade table, sold on Etsy at $44.99, but yours from B&M for just £7. And these handmade pom-pom table mats, $12.50 on Etsy, available at B&M for less than half that.
All right, so that is just totally deceptive. People selling things as handmade when they're actually not, and then trying to sell those items at a price that is not consistent at all with what the marketplace shows the item is actually worth. That's a major problem. It's actually not new to Etsy, though. It's just that BBC One called it out and exposed it. Now, this article from Etsy itself is actually from April 29th, 2021. Just listen to this. This is from them. In 2020, Etsy received close to 4 million flags regarding potentially non-compliant listings, which was a 400% increase in flags from 2019. And the number one reason for a flag was breaches in the handmade policy. So there definitely need to be more efforts that are put into fixing this problem, because this just is out of control at this point. And there needs to be something in place, like a visual match identifier that flags these items in advance before they could actually get posted. And so these things just need to not get posted in the first place. Let me know what you think about this. Have you seen this problem on Etsy? How have you dealt with it? And what do you think should be done to fix it? I'm real curious to hear your comments. All right, really quick reminder for those of you who are fans of the Primetime News broadcast. These broadcasts take a lot of time to put together and produce. So for those of you who are interested in supporting this newscast and keeping it going, please check out membership by clicking on that join button, and you'll see all the different levels and perks available. All right, now, if that wasn't bad enough for Etsy this week, things got worse when sellers were getting messages from Etsy that they had underpaid USPS, and now they were getting charged to make up the difference. Now, this really became a problem even more when the sellers would then click on the links that they were given by Etsy to try to figure out what the actual problem was, and they would click it, and it wouldn't tell them why these prices were being adjusted and why they were going to be charged a difference. And so Etsy didn't really know what to say and do about it to give people clear answers. So what they told them was, hey, go contact USPS. So the problem is, when you go to contact USPS, USPS then asks you for information that you could only get through the Etsy link that's not working. So it leaves everyone in limbo, and everyone's passing the buck to one another in terms of USPS and Etsy. So Etsy, definitely need to get your act together on some of this stuff. It's starting to get like eBay at this point. All right, now this next story is very important to pay attention to, because anyone watching this could get scammed when purchasing an open box item online. You think that it's working, even though it says open box, and then you get it and it doesn't work. Not only that doesn't work, but the company who you bought it from doesn't allow you to return it. They don't honor their own no hassle return policy. That's exactly what happened here. But there's an added wrinkle to this next story, which makes it even more crazy. So this has to do with a company called Newegg. Now, if you've not heard of Newegg before, that's a website where you go to and purchase computer parts. I've used it for many years. I first heard about it through my brother. He's an engineer, and so he likes to build computers and stuff. And so, we would get things, here and there for our computers. And lots of people just absolutely have loved the site, but there have been a lot of changes that have happened over the years, similar to what happened in this story. So this actually was exposed by a YouTube channel called Gamers Nexus, and he went out and he bought a motherboard. So this is a really big product, and he didn't realize that he purchased it as open box, because on the site they changed it so that open box looked really small. If you watch the whole video, you could see it. I'm only going to show a few clips here. So he didn't know the item came in, and turns out that he never needed it. Now, it's about a $500-600 item. He didn't need it, and so he decided eventually to return it. He never opened the box once he got it, so he sent it back, and they sent it back to him, and they basically told him they're not going to accept the return because it's broken. Well, he never opened it. So if it was broken, then it must have been broken when they sent it to him. So now he has it. He opens it up. Let's see what he finds when he opens it up.
Let's open up the socket. Oh my God. What the hell? Why'd you sell this to me? What's your fucking problem, Newegg?
See what's going on there? You see all those areas of irregularity there? There's all these pins, all these socket pins are busted, and that's why the motherboard is not going to work. All right, now I have it on mute for this part, but what I want you to pay attention to is this sticker. This is an RMA sticker, so it's a return merchandise authorization sticker from a company named Gigabyte. Now, Gigabyte is actually the company that Newegg got this motherboard from. And Newegg tried to return it to the Gigabyte site, but Gigabyte said that they weren't going to let Newegg return it because there were broken socket pins. And they told them that if they wanted to get it fixed, they could get it fixed for $100. So Newegg basically said, nah, we're not going to do that. And then what wound up happening is it wound up getting shipped to this guy. And when he tried to return it again, they wouldn't let him return it. Now, once he exposed this on YouTube, they then all of a sudden tried to reach out to him again, just like with the Etsy thing earlier. When he tried to contact them many different ways, he said no one was responding to him. So, you know, this guy's had this channel for 14 years and he was able to get a response, and this thing has gone pretty viral. So let's hear what Gamers Nexus has to say about their summary of this situation.
The best case scenario is that Newegg has some absolutely asinine way of handling products like this and doesn't double check them before it puts them back on the shelf and doesn't look at the giant obvious sticker on it. They probably got the box back from Gigabyte and just YOLO'd it onto the shelf without ever opening it. That is the best defense I can think of. And that defense shows extreme ignorance and incompetence, but at least it's not malicious. But that's the best one I can think of. The worst one is, no, we don't want to pay $100 for the repair. Let the customer deal with it.
All right, now speaking of calling things out, I've got to give credit to Ina Steiner for calling out eBay for not being completely transparent with regards to changes that were made in the user agreement. Now, these changes came out at the same time as the winter seller update that I went over in the prior Primetime News episode. And you would think that there were updates in this user agreement that sellers would have wanted to know about in the seller update that were not included in there. So the only way for sellers to actually know, or buyers to know what the actual changes were between the user agreements, is to literally take the old agreement, take the new agreement, and keep in mind these are long documents with a lot of legal language in them, and compare side by side to see where any words have changed. That's absolutely crazy and ridiculous. What a lot of companies will do when they make user agreement changes is they will specifically tell the people who use the platform what the exact changes are. So I am also calling out eBay on that and saying you have got to do better. If you're watching this, please make sure the next time you make changes to the user agreement that you are letting us know specifically what's changed. They did say in general some things, but you've got to be very specific. We shouldn't have to resort to Ina spending hours and hours comparing them side by side. I'm going to link to it in the description section because there's so much stuff in there that I can't possibly cover it all. So definitely go through it, but I'm going to give you some highlights right here. So number one, and you can see it in the title, do not share your login with anybody. They do have a multi-user account access service that you could use if you want to. I've heard various different reviews on whether or not people like it or not. Let me know in the comment section, but don't share it, especially to somebody who has a different IP address as you do. So if they're at like a different house or they're signed up on a different computer network, eBay is going to be able to detect that. And by third party, by the way, don't just think that that means some other business. That also means one of your employees. eBay could take action against you now per the user agreement. You could get in trouble. They could shut your account down, all sorts of things. So please be very careful about that. All right. Also, one of the changes that was found in here is there's statements made now that buyers could get charged for certain authentication services, not just sellers. They also interestingly changed things to say that eBay is not a place anymore where you could buy and sell just about anything. but they changed that now to goods and services. Well, that's certainly true. I'll give them credit for that one, because with all the things that get added to the Vero list every single day, there certainly are a lot of things that you cannot sell on the platform anymore. Now, eBay also made it very clear in the user agreement that they can add advertisements to your listings. I showed you examples of that in a prior news video. So just keep in mind it's in there now. So if you're using the platform, you are agreeing that they could put ads in your listings. Another thing eBay mentions is that with eBay managed payments, they can specifically shut off access to your funds at any time if they feel that there's some type of violation that took place. So just keep in mind that's in there too. All right, now the other thing eBay put in there that I want to call your attention to, because I think this is going to get legally disputed by people over time, just like it has with Amazon, is eBay is trying to take a page from Amazon, and they're trying to say that when a transaction takes place on the platform, that they are not a party to it. They're saying that the only parties with regards to any transaction on eBay is between the buyer and the seller. That's it. They're not a party to it. I'm sorry, eBay, absolutely no way. That is total BS, because it's your platform that the transaction is occurring on. Now, Amazon has tried this same exact thing before, the same exact argument. And the reason why they put that in there is because they don't want to get hit with product liability charges. And so this has been challenged in court. Amazon has lost cases based on this argument. So expect to see eBay get challenged on this in the future. And I do not think that this is going to withstand legal challenges, but I'll keep you updated in future news broadcasts. All right, it's time for the Primetime Crime Series, and this time we've got a story of dumpster diving going bad. Now, it's not what you think. It's not somebody who got in trouble for, diving in a dumpster, trying to find products to resell that were tossed out by the business. Although I should say you should check with your local ordinances if you are doing dumpster diving, because some areas it's allowed and other areas it's not. But in this story, the person went well beyond that and actually was taking the price tags off of items in the dumpster, then bringing them into the store and switching them with the higher priced price tag. So then they would take items up to the register and try to check out with a lower priced price tag from something they got out of the dumpster. The person was busted. They were found to also have drugs on them, and now they're getting in all sorts of legal trouble for that. So please don't try to ever do anything that dumb. All right, now this next story I just want to point out, because I still get people who tell me every once in a while that they think that it's okay to sell counterfeit items on eBay as long as they say that it's counterfeit. No, that is illegal. It's still illegal to do it, even if you say it is counterfeit. You cannot do that. So this is a perfect example of what could happen to you. It's a person who was trying to sell counterfeit batteries and power packs on eBay as Canon products when they really weren't. Now, put yourself in Canon's position, right? They're a major brand, and they have customers who are going out buying things that they think are Canon products. They get it. It doesn't work properly, of course, because it's counterfeit. And then the consumer thinks Canon sucks and I'm not going to buy Canon products anymore. And, sometimes when people make decisions like that, those could be lifetime decisions. And the person may or may not ever find out that it actually was a counterfeit product. And then that person tells someone else. So it really could cause a lot of damage to a brand. That's why Canon goes after people like this. They went after this person. They didn't disclose the exact amount of money that the person wound up having to pay back to Canon, but they said it was a very large sum of money. So you can get arrested, you go to jail, you can pay fines. Don't do it. Stay away from counterfeits. All right, now in another crackdown, but this one is a ridiculous crackdown. This was actually in Beijing, and I just want to point this out because this actually goes to show how lucky we are to be in a country where we can buy things for low and we could flip it high if there's a marketplace out there that wants it and the prices that we're charging are consistent with the market value that exists out there based on supply and demand. And obviously with the Olympics taking place, there's a lot of people who are interested in items from it, one of which includes the official mascot of the Olympics, which is known as Bing Dwen Dwen. So if you ever see something like that in your country, you might want to look into picking it up because you might be able to flip it for some good money on eBay. But people were trying to flip it in Beijing. And what happened is that the police were arresting people saying that the prices they were charging were too high. So if they just deemed it was too high, even though there was nothing illegal about it, it's not obvious. It's obviously not price gouging because this is not a necessity, but they just thought that it was too high and they could confiscate your goods. They could put you in jail. All right, so now we're going to go to our be on the lookout section. Now, while you're probably not going to find this Pele card that's sold for a record $1.33 million this week, that's absolutely crazy. Be on the lookout for soccer cards. There's a lot of attention to basketball cards and football cards and baseball cards, but I think a lot of people ignore soccer because it's not as popular as a sport in the United States, but in other countries, particularly in Europe and Africa, for example, South America, it is very, very popular. So you can make a lot of international sales with soccer cards. So just pay attention to it. All right, so we just had the Super Bowl this past weekend, and it does bring to mind, right? What the heck happens to the clothing that they make in advance for the Super Bowl champion team that doesn't actually win the Super Bowl title? So, they have stuff ready for both teams in advance. And this article dives into it a little bit. They won't tell you exactly where it goes, but it does wind up mostly going to other countries, probably for donations. Africa, Middle East, Asia, South America would be places that it goes to. But every once in a while, there's someone who winds up getting one of these items in the US, for example, and trying to list it for a crazy price. So you could see here, for example, someone's trying to list this Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl shirt from Super Bowl 23. Now, they didn't win that. They lost, so it's a misprint one, and they're trying to charge $10,000 for it. Now, I don't think it's ever going to sell for that price, but sometimes people try to make an attempt, and so just be on the lookout for a misprint. Sometimes misprints of all sorts of items will sell, so it's at least worth looking into. So I'm going to show you here as an absolute find of a lifetime, and if you're someone like myself who grew up with video games, particularly Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega Genesis, you're going to love this story. There's a US game reseller who actually wound up getting this storage unit that inside had the contents from an old video game store that had shut down, and a lot of the items in there were still sealed. And the prices for sealed old video games that are hard to find could sometimes sell for $1,000 or more. So this is one of the two guys, and I'm just showing you this just to give you a sense of some of the totes that they found. This is just a very small sample of it, and you can see to the side there that there's a whole bunch of totes that are also lined up against the wall. So you can see over there, and that's, again, just a small little section of it. But I'm going to take you to a part later in the video where he highlights some of the gems.
Why don't we tell him what we got?
We got here probably some Grail level Super Nintendo games.
I've got a couple Haganes now. I have two of them.
All those are sealed, especially that Chrono.
All right, so here's some actual sold prices for some of the items that you saw there. Now, this one here is the Musha Japanese horror story game. This one sold sealed for $1,000. The Cool World game that you saw there sold sealed for $500. Now, I couldn't always find sealed comps. Sometimes I could find an item complete. The Turtles in Time game is very difficult to find. It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. So this one's not sealed. It is open and it is complete. So that one sold for $900. So sealed, it's going to sell for more. This one here is the Zombies Ate My Homework game. So you could see this one is complete as well, but not sealed. And it sold for $256. This is the Chrono Trigger game that he was talking about at the end. Again, not sealed. He has all sealed ones, and this one sold for over $900. And then a Final Fantasy 3, which is very difficult to find sealed or to find complete and like new condition. This one sold for $1,000. Wow. So definitely be on the lookout for some of these old video games. They could go for crazy money, especially if you're lucky enough to find one sealed. All right, everyone, and that is a wrap of another episode of Primetime News. I feel like I need something to do at the end. I don't know. Put your suggestions down below. Maybe I'll just close up this book, toss it to the side, and that's the end of this episode. See you back at the next one, everyone. Take care.